I should have followed my own advice. Here it is. Yet another reason I never bought a Marauder. 3 words, boys. 4-valve Ford. So a lot of you might notice I no longer make videos on the red 1998 Lincoln Mark VIII. Don't get me wrong, I had dozens of videos planned for that car. If only the damn car would have made it 1 month. At least 1 month without having something constantly going wrong. Hell, the car barely made the drive home on the first day. I should have known it would have come to this. The signs were literally everywhere. And I'm not just talking about the water and the spark plug housing that I found in 2 cylinders either. When my literal 3rd video plan for this car was, and I quote, 7 things that will fail on your Lincoln Mark VIII, I should have listened to myself. It's a rare car, I would tell myself. It's luxurious and cool looking. But it has a Cobra engine, come on, I would tell myself these things. It's surely worth looking past all the flaws and taking time bomb problems this car has because it has a Cobra engine. Fellas, if you were considering buying a Mark VIII, I'm gonna need you to pull out, son. It ain't worth it. So, Mr. Random, what exactly were those 7 problems you talked about earlier? Well, I'm glad you asked. And just because I love you guys, I'm going to relive some of the worst car ownership memories I've had in a long time. We'll loop things up with some of the minor problems and slowly make our way to we're balls deep in debt and depression. Kind of reminds me of my last marriage, actually. Anyways, so these cars came from factory with HID headlights. Sure, revolutionary for its time, I will admit, but now, in 2020, they are literally discontinued. Besides needle in a haystack eBay finds, you're paddling up Schitt's Creek when those HIDs blow out. Well, there's always the $300 halogen conversion kit. I guess your kids can miss 1 semester of college, right? And since we're on the topic of headlights, these cars came with an iconic middle light bar in the back. And to make it extra fancy, it used actual neon gas. Not LED, not halogen, hell, not even a freaking incandescent bulb. No, Lincoln used a freaking periodic table element on this mofo, ensuring it will be extra expensive when it breaks, and break it will. You see, they're notorious for accumulating water inside them, and now in 2020, you can't even replace the neon bulb. So you're left once again hunting on eBay for full-blown $200 replacements. Next up, your fuel gauge will stop working. That means instead of slowly climbing until it's full, your fuel gauge will constantly stay flaccid and limp in the empty position. Now that's a problem most white guys over 40 can relate to. That luxurious sunroof and leather you convinced yourself was so fancy. Start digging in that college fund again, because your sunroof will stop working on top of leaking, and the leather on your seats will crack harder than your mom's pelvis after spending a night with yours truly. Speaking of seats, there's a chance the motor inside your driver's side seat will completely fail, causing the seat to permanently be stuck in the all the way back position or all the way forward. The same is known to happen with a steering wheel motor that controls the tilt. So, if you think replacing a $600 Lincoln seat was bad, I've only got the proverbial tip in, baby. The power steering pump leaks harder than the roof on my Section 8 housing apartment I lived in as a child. And this being a mid to late 90s Lincoln, you better put away another $500 on a coil suspension install kit when your so fancy air suspension fails. They loaded this car with so many sensors and gadgets that all inevitably fail, and I'm talking about the most inconvenient type of shiznit. For example, the mirrors have a fancy sensor that tilts them down when you put the car in reverse, except when the motor burns out, your mirrors are permanently stuck facing down. Also, the engine came with just as many sensors, so even though it came with the Cobra engine, it reacts horrible to any basic bolt-on modifications, especially the super delicate mass airflow systems and idle controls in these cars. Your catalytic converters, will fail, at which point you'll be left with the option to fix them for $500 each, or do what I did and just cut them off, which will then trigger a permanent check engine light. I went through 2 transmissions with this car in a 2-month period. Luckily, I was able to find both for $400 on eBay. But if none of that has been enough to deter you from buying an old, sensor-happy, expensive parts-equipped Lincoln, then maybe this part will. And that is the notorious problems these first-gen 4-valve motors came with, which was a tendency to blow head gaskets. You see, the head gaskets blow harder on these cars than your wife will trying to get your kids into college after spending all your money on this car. So for those of you who haven't been keeping tabs, let's tally up the damage so far. We got a $300 halogen conversion kit, $200 rear light bar replacement, $150 sunroof motor, $600 driver's side chair, $130 steering wheel tilt motor, $500 spring coil conversion kit, $500 worth of cats, $400 for a used transmission, in my case $800 for 2 transmissions, and last but not least, $600 for a used 4-valve engine. I can't believe I almost spent $4,000 on a $1,200 car, and that's just to make it roadworthy. Hell, not even roadworthy, just corner store to pick up a gallon of milk worthy. For $4K, I could have bought a decent New Edge Mustang or a drivable Fox body. Hell, a badass C4 Corvette, or even 3 project cars. Or even a decent down payment on a new car. Instead, my kids now have to major in theoretical transgender studies, and me and the dog have been roommates for 3 months. All over a Cobra-powered Lincoln SMH.